How strong is the Red Mist? The answer to this question might seem obvious, and there is already a source on this, but is that source truly accurate? I'll explain everything. Before we begin, for those who don't know who the Red Mist is, I'll give a brief summary of her story. After that, we'll dive into the power scaling. Gebura and Kali. These names represent different versions of the same person. In this video, I'll be focusing on Kali, because Kali represents Gebura in her prime. Her time as the Red Mist. Gebura's childhood was anything but stable. She grew up in a part of the backstreets that was constantly changing. While her neighbors weren't exactly the most kind-hearted people, there were a few adults who treated her nicely. Sadly, most of them would either vanish or end up brutally mutilated in the streets by the next morning. This was during the peak of the turf wars between syndicates. As Gebura explains, a chaotic time not unlike the conflicts happening in L-Corp's nest. Through sheer luck and relentless observation, she managed to survive until the age of 13. Her ability to adapt and strategize allowed her to keep going, treating every moment as an extension of her borrowed time. By the age of 20, she had become a fixer, vowing never to sink to the level of the syndicates that plagued the backstreets. As a fixer, Kali finally found a semblance of stability. She believed that with her newfound power, she could protect her neighbors, the same people who had fed her when she was a child and who felt like the closest thing to family she'd ever known. However, her gratitude was met with betrayal. Those very neighbors conspired with others in her apartment to invade her home. They tied her up and searched for any money she might have hidden. Heartbroken and disillusioned, Kali saw them as nothing more than greedy, crawling parasites. The same people she had risked her life to protect. She could have broken free from the ropes at any moment, but she waited, clinging to the naive hope that this was all a misunderstanding or a cruel prank. That hope was shattered when she overheard them plotting to use her money to move somewhere else, leaving her behind. It was a harsh realization that left her enraged and in tears. In a fit of fury, Kali killed the intruders, the very people she once saw as her family. In that moment, she realized a bitter truth. The people she had tried to protect were no better than the syndicates. Given the chance, anyone would resort to violence and greed for their own survival. No matter how much power she gained or how hard she tried, Kali could not break this vicious cycle. It was a cycle that turned victims into perpetrators and hope into despair. Now, let's dive into the power scaling. And yes, I know, I didn't cover the entire story. That's because the rest of the story ties directly into the scaling itself. I'll be walking you through her power step by step, using key moments from her story to explain everything as we go. During her conversation with Roland, Gebura mentions how she effortlessly took down 5 index proxies and 3 messengers all on her own. So, what is the index? The index is one of the 5 fingers, known for their fatalistic and dogmatic beliefs. Their entire organization revolves around following cryptic, seemingly random tasks called prescripts. Proxies are the enforcers of the index, while messengers are nearly equal to proxies in terms of power. They possess the ability to grow stronger as the battle progresses, all while inflicting the fragile status on their enemies to exploit their vulnerabilities. In addition to applying fragile, they can also weaken their opponent's power, showcasing their mastery as seasoned and highly skilled warriors. They are each classified as star of the city level threats, which means they are roughly on par with Ricardo in terms of power. This also implies that the 5 index proxies and 3 index messengers that Red Mist defeated with ease are each at least multi-city block level in strength. Considering that Red Mist took on all of them by herself, it's safe to say that her power far exceeds that level. In fact, we can confidently place her at multi-city block level ++, solidifying her superiority. Now let's talk about Red Mist's speed. Once again, I'll be using examples from the Index and Vespa. According to a calculation made on the Versus Battle forums, an Index proselyte was shown to be fast enough to blitz a bullet right as it left the barrel. With further calculations, its speed was estimated to be around. Considering that the enemies attacking Red Mist were capable of reaching these insane speeds, and that she was able to take on 8 of them at once, this clearly proves that Red Mist is at the very least faster than. Now it's time to bring up Vespa as an example. Vespa, a grade 1 fixer from Distortion Detective, was able to effortlessly leap across an entire district carrying another person, despite being heavily injured. So why did I bring this up? Because if a grade 1 fixer can achieve such incredible speed and mobility, there is absolutely no reason why a color fixer like the Red Mist wouldn't be capable of reaching or surpassing. Kali took down several claws and even defeated Binah herself during the invasion of one of the first Lobotomy Corporation facilities. She also participated in the final battle against the Hes Arbiter and the claws in the library. Now let's take a closer look at what Binah is capable of and use that to gauge just how powerful Red Mist truly is. She is basically Gojo on steroids. Binah possesses an absurd arsenal of abilities, ranging from conceptual manipulation to outright negating defenses with pale damage. She can manipulate space, lock away abilities, weaken opponents, and even nullify powerful technology. Her attacks don't just target the body, they assault the mind, the soul, and reality itself. And yet, despite all of this, Red Mist managed to not only survive but ultimately defeat her. This isn't just a testament to her raw power, it proves that Red Mist has an insane level of durability, capable of resisting high-tier Hex abilities that would normally render most fighters completely helpless. I almost forgot to mention, she's not just resistant to pale damage, but also the white and black damage as well. White damage directly targets the mind, causing insanity, panic, or even suicide. Meanwhile, black damage strikes both the mind and body simultaneously, completely bypassing resistance to either. Yet, Red Mist endured both, proving her resilience isn't just physical, but extends to mental and existential threats as well. By the way, yes, I know that the reason Binah was killed was because she granted Kelly an honorable death, leaving herself open to an unexpected strike. But I don't think Red Mist won purely by luck. Think about it. Binah could have used J-Corp's Lock and F-Corp's Fairies to counter Red Mist's surprise attack, especially since these abilities activate instantly, and yet, being Gebura, she was the only one who could stop her before she died. This also proves that Red Mist possesses an advanced level of battle IQ. As seen here, Red Mist is capable of dealing area damage while also disorienting enemies upon landing a hit. The description, on hit, destroy a combat page set on another random speed die of the target, suggests that whenever she strikes, she disrupts her opponent's actions, effectively stunning and staggering them. Additionally, she is a character who grows even stronger with every hit she lands. Now let's talk about her ego form. Remember Vergilius from Leviathan? The one who, along with Iori, brought down an entire building without even using an ego form? And keep in mind, this takes place in a dystopian future where buildings are far more durable than what we are used to. So, following this logic, and considering that Red Mist is regarded as the strongest fixer to have ever existed in that world, it stands to reason that Kali in her base form is far stronger, and if we also take into account the Hex durability I mentioned earlier, her overall durability should be at least town level. Alright, I've covered all of Red Mist's notable abilities. Now for those who might still be wondering, let me make it clear once and for all. Yes, Homelander stands absolutely no chance against Red Mist. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.